We're going to Erev Shabbos. It's the Erev Shabbos Parashat Shemos. To share a Torah thought for the Second Street Chevra. There is we're introduced to Moshe in this week's parasha. Introduced to Moshe's speech impediment. And Rabbi spoke about it a couple weeks ago. The notion of why does Moshe and Shemos have a speech impediment? So he quoted from the Drashas Haran the idea that the Torah is trying to tell us that you should listen to the content of what our leaders are saying, not necessarily their charisma and their personality. It's important to listen to the content, and perhaps that's why it didn't matter that Moshe had a speech impediment. What mattered was the tochen that came out of Moshe. But there's another idea that I came across this week in the Ramban, and the Ramban says something fascinating. The Ramban says that Moshe, of course, Medrash tells us that Moshe always had a speech impediment from a young age, and that Moshe specifically, because he didn't want to be the Moshe and Shayisrael, he didn't want to be the leader, he never davened. Ramban says, Moshe me'rov chepso shelo yelech lo yitpalel lefanav yiparach she'asir kvedut piv. Moshe never davened for Hashem to remove this flaw in the fact that he had the speech impediment. He said, because Hashem never took away my kvedut peh, it has to be that I won't be selected to be the leader. Moshe wanted to hold on to this flaw in order that he shouldn't have to be the leader of Klal Yisrael. So first of all, I think there's something so beautiful we see from here, and that is that Moshe was trying to run away from his destiny. And the Ramban concludes, "V'Hakadosh Baruch Hu kevan shelo yitpalel bakach lo ratza leraposo." The Ramban confirms that Hakadosh Baruch Hu, because Moshe never davened to remove the speech impediment, Hashem never got around to actually fix the speech impediment. In other words, Hakadosh Baruch Hu is the Borei Olam; he can do whatever he wants. And Hakadosh Baruch Hu could have fixed the speech impediment, but he didn't because Moshe didn't daven for it. And I think we see from here the power of prayer, the importance of daven for something. Just because we want something, if we don't daven for it, it shows that we don't really need it. So Hashem's okay, you're not davening for it, so you obviously don't need it, so I'm not going to act on it. So I think we see the power of tefillah from this Ramban, that Moshe could have had a speech impediment cured, but he didn't daven for it, and so Hashem didn't fix it. But then the Ramban adds another line and says, Aval Amar Lo, Hashem's response to Moshe was, Anochi eya im picha, v'riticha asher tdaber. Hashem's response, a third answer, is, I'll work with your speech impediment. I'll work with your imperfections, and I'll put the words in your mouth, and we'll work together. And perhaps a third answer of why Moshe has a speech impediment, besides, number one, listen to the content, not to style. Number two, teaches us, reminds us the power of prayer, that Moshe should have davened for it, he didn't, and that was a failure. But lesson three is that Hashem says, you don't have to be perfect. Even with your imperfections, I can work with you, and I can partner with you in carrying out God's mission in the world. And perhaps that's a lesson for all of us, that with all of our imperfections and all our inadequacies, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Anochi eya im picha. I can work. I will be with your mouth. I will be with you with your shortcomings. We should be zocheh to embrace the partnership with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, no matter where we're at, and no matter what our kochos are, we still have a job to play. Good Shabbos.